I am Sharat, working at JND Kasaragod as PTT English, and I am here to take you today to a journey to the third level. As students of class 12, I am sure that this chapter must have created an air of mystery and intrigue in your life and your minds. Today, let's try and unravel this mystery. Before we go right into the lesson, let's just take a look at the background when the story was written. The author of the story is a guy named Jack Fenney. And Jack Fenney was born in the first decade of the 20th century and he died in the last decade of the 20th century. So, in other words, the prime of his life was spent in the middle of the 20th century. Let us say the 1950s, and that is when the story was written. So, what makes the middle part of the 20th century such an important phase? It was a time of the Cold War between USA and Russia, and it was immediately after the Second World War. Let us remember that during these two world wars, the world faced unprecedented problems, unprecedented suffering. Lots of life was lost. Many people suffered hardships that they would never endure otherwise. And in the late 50s, there was a looming threat of this war between Russia and America. And this created an air of insecurity, fear, hopelessness in the minds of all the citizens. So this story is based on all these things. So basically, there are two themes in this story. One is time travel, and the other is a growing sense of insecurity, fear, helplessness, and boredom in the minds of the people. So now let's explore the third level. What changed in the world during the Second World War and after? Before both these world wars were fought, people led a very relaxed and happy life. But the moment these two wars took place, and when the Second World War ended in 1945, the people of the world sensed that there could be another war at any time in the given future. And because of this, many people wanted to go to the life of happiness, which is in the 19th century, late part of the 19th century. The main character, or the protagonist of the story, is a guy named Charlie. He is happily married to a lady named Louisa, understand? And they have a friend called Sam, who is also a psychiatrist. Charlie somehow finds the third level. Where does he find it? He finds it in the Grand Central Station of New York. The Grand Central Station of New York is the biggest railway terminal in the world. It has got two levels. Charlie takes his train every day from the second level of the Grand Central Station. But somehow, one day, unknowingly, he wandered into the third level of the Grand Central Station. So in essence, the story takes place at the Grand Central Station. The third level exists at the Grand Central Station, or it doesn't exist at the Grand Central Station. So before we go further into the lesson, it's necessary for us to take a look at the history of the Grand Central Station. Charlie describes the Grand Central Station as a tree that throws new branches, new roots. In a similar manner, the Grand Central Station creates new corridors, new stairways, new passageways. It doesn't actually create new passageways, but Charlie discovers new passageways every day. And it is when he traveled through one of these passages that he reached the third level. So, when he came back from the third level, even he was not able to believe whether the third level actually existed or not. So, he took the obvious step. He describes it as having taken the obvious step. He visited a psychiatrist. That is his friend Sam. And what did Sam say? Third level? Nothing exists like that, my friend. It's only there in your mind. He describes it as a waking dream wish fulfillment. He said that Charlie was worried, Charlie was insecure, Charlie had fear in his mind, and because of all these reasons, he wanted to quit this world and go into another world or the past. And the third level exists in the past. Whether Charlie actually went to the third level or not is a different thing. But the fact is that Charlie had a wonderful experience. An experience which is probably a bit similar to the experience of the protagonist, Professor Guy Tunde, in the lesson called Adventure, which you studied last year. The difference is that in the adventure, Professor Guy Tunde travels to a parallel universe which exists in the same time, whereas Charlie travels to the past. So in other words, it's a story about time travel. Now comes the important question. Is time travel possible? Let me tell you that theoretically, time travel has always been possible. If you look at one of the theories of Albert Einstein, he says that if you travel faster than the speed of light, then it is possible for us to travel to the past or to the future. In other words, time travel is possible. Now, you might think that it's incredible, and I will not believe this. Yes, you're free to do that. But let's keep in mind that many things that exist today would not have been thought of as possible maybe 15 or even 20 years ago. For example, today you're sitting and watching an online lesson. Do you think that this would have been possible 20 years ago? No. But actually, the fact is that today you are listening to an online class. Charlie describes himself as an ordinary guy in a tan gabardine suit. I'll tell you what a tan gabardine suit is. If you have watched the James Bond movies of the yesteryears, you will find Roger Moore, who portrayed James Bond in many of the movies, dressed in a tan gabardine suit. This is what it is. Okay. Now, Charlie travels to the third level through a corridor of the Grand Central Station. As he was approaching the third level, he could see people who were dressed in a fashion different from his own era. They wore leg of mutton sleeves, and they had fancy beards and sideburns and moustaches. Some of them had handlebar moustaches. And then when he came out onto the third level, he found that the place was entirely different. People were moving about here and there were fewer ticket windows, and the lights were kind of flickering. And then he noticed that they were open flame gas lights and not electric lights. This made him realize that he had traveled somewhere to the past. And then there was a man who was taking out a gold watch from his pocket and looking at the time. Then he found a train that was coming onto the platform. This train was pulled by a Currier and Ives locomotive, which was not existent at that time. And finally, his suspicions were confirmed when he looked at a copy of a newspaper called The World. The World had stopped publishing long ago. Immediately he was excited because he wanted to buy tickets to a place called Galesburg. Now Galesburg is a place which was inhabited by his grandfather long ago. His grandfather had told him many stories about Galesburg. Galesburg was a very peaceful place. It was a wondrous place in the lap of nature, and he always had the ambition to go to Galesburg. Now he had a chance. So what he did, he went up right to the ticket booths and he asked for a ticket to Galesburg. But when he paid the money, the ticket clerk did not accept it. He said, "Man, this is not money. Are you trying to cheat me?" Immediately, Charlie realized that he shouldn't be giving that money because the money which he had in his pocket belonged to another era, and he needed old type of notes to pay for his ticket there. So, without making any more argument, he came back to the second level. He somehow escaped from the third level and came back to the second level. Because jail was the same both at the second level and the third level, and he had no wish to go to jail. When he came back from the third level, he described his experience to his wife Lucia and to his friend Sam, the psychiatrist. Sam told him, no, you're just dreaming. It's a waking dream, wish fulfillment. Nothing like that exists. But Charlie wanted to go to the third level. And what did he do? He immediately took all his savings, about $500, and he exchanged them for old banknotes. Now, when you exchange your money for old type of notes, you have to pay a premium. Paying a premium means you have to pay a little more. For example, if you give $500, you might only get something around $300 or $350 because the remaining money will be taken as a premium by the businessman who sells you the old type of money. Anyway, he took this money and he wanted to buy 2 tickets for Galesburg. But unfortunately, when he came to the Grand Central Station, he could not find the third level again. Charlie could not find the third level again. He searched and searched for it. He searched for it so much that his wife, Lucia, became worried about him. And then, Charlie decided to stop searching for the third level. Because he did not want to worry his wife, and he felt that he was also getting psychologically imbalanced. But then suddenly, an incident happened which changed all that. See, Charlie's grandfather was a collector of stamps. He had a wonderful stamp collection. And Charlie carried on the collection after the time of his grandfather. Charlie was going through his stamp collection one day. And in the stamp collection, he found a first day cover. Now, what's a first day cover? See, I think this is something that we will not be familiar with because nowadays we don't write letters to each other because of the digital age and mobile phones and all that. You know, earlier when a new stamp was released, in India, stamps are released, say Mahatma Gandhi, Jawaharlal Nehru, all our national leaders, they have got their own stamps and they're released at one particular day. So stamp collectors, or otherwise called philatelists, they were very much excited when a new stamp was being was released. And when the stamp was released, they would reach the post office on that particular day. And what they would do is, they would buy a stamp and they would paste it on a cover and they would address it to themselves. They would either put a piece of blank paper inside it or they would leave it empty. So these first day covers were very important because the postmark, that when a letter is posted and it is taken by the postman to the post office and he seals it or stamps it with the date. And the date proves that the stamp was purchased on the day of its release. These first day covers are antique items and people pay a lot of money to collect them. So, Charlie had a huge collection of first day covers. And these first day covers were kept very carefully by him. One day, while going through these first day covers, he found one particular cover which should not have existed there. And then he looked at the first day cover closely. He opened the first day cover and he finds that there was a letter inside that. Usually first day covers don't have anything inside. But here he finds that there was a letter inside the first day cover. And the letter was written by Sam. Sam, who never believed the existence of the third level, had found the third level. And Charlie had related to Sam about the beautiful town of Galesburg, and probably Sam always had a wish to go there. Now, Sam found the third level and he had written a letter to Charlie. It was addressed to Charlie's grandfather because Sam was writing this letter from the 1890s, and at that time Charlie did not exist. So the address was Charlie's grandfather's address, but the letter was written to Charlie. And Sam said, I have found the third level. Lucia and you, don't stop looking for it. Don't stop looking for the third level. It does exist, my friend. It does exist. So Please keep looking for it. Right now, I'm in Galesburg, and here people are singing Sing Nelly Ho, and I'm invited for lemonade, and it's very peaceful and wonderful. And Sam had set up a business of grain, hay and fodder in the 3rd level. So Sam had successfully reached the 3rd level, and he had set up a wonderful business also there, because he could not continue his profession. What was his profession? He was a psychiatrist. And why couldn't he continue his profession there? Because in those days, people had very less mental problems. There was less worry, less fear, and less sense of insecurity, and due to these reasons, probably a psychiatrist did not have much work there. And so, Sam set himself up in a new profession. He became a farmer. Understand? And that is how the story comes to a close. Now, let us explore whether there is an intersection of time and place in this particular story. See, on one end, you can see that the story is a science fiction. On another end, you can see that it is very symbolic. So, probably Jack Fenney also had the same kind of worry in his mind, and the story was written very symbolically, showing a place called the 3rd level, where things were much better and much happier, and Jack Fenney wanted to travel to that place. There is an intersection of time and place because while looking through the first day covers, he finds the first day cover which should not have been there. Now, why should the first day cover should not be there? Because Sam at that point of time was in the 2nd level. So when he reached the 3rd level, naturally the cover existed here. Now there are many question marks in the story. How did the cover exist? There are no answers to it because it's a science fiction story and you can always develop and hunt for your own answers. Now, let us examine the story as if it is not a science fiction and 3rd level was just imaginary. Probably, Sam as a psychiatrist might have placed the cover there, to make him understand the 3rd level existed only in his mind and he can find his happiness even here. Or probably he said Sam needed a change of place and Charlie needed a change of place and he can travel to Galesburg where he will find a happier life. So there are no concrete answers to all these questions. But the fact of the matter is that the 3rd level existed either in reality or in the mind of Charlie. Important part is that it refers to a happier period of time where the world was not destroyed by wars and people's lives were much more secure. And it is this insecurity that is being focused upon by the author. The author has made it a point that people should desist from war. War creates only dead people on both sides. You may win a war, but it will not give you happiness in the long run. So, my friends, the moral of the story or the message that we should take from the story is that let us avoid war.